All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back here for the championship game in this big pink volleyball match between WeRecU and the Lodgers. The Lodgers starting lineup consists of OTP, then you got Coulter, Yates, Logan, Gabriel, and then Kyle Lee. And we'll try to keep their names up to date like we did with the last team. And then as we said before, WeRecU, here comes Brandon with the serve off the hands of Dan Grockmall and Derek. Logan with the set up over, and Kyle Lee jumps up there. Greg really getting into this match. You know, we were just speaking about how he didn't really have much to do with that last game, but he moved over to the center where Marissa was last match, and he's really getting in there so far.
He's getting up there.
Yeah, he is off the head of
nice.
Derek. Brandon gets it off the head of Derek, but I believe that was Greg that got it over. And so far, it's looking like WeRecU's a little bit out of sorts since they rearranged their lineup. Logan gets the ball over, big hit.
Yeah, they're moving around a lot more than they were before.
I think that it looks like Derek really wants to be right back in the middle position where Brandon is now. But I feel like they're both equally adequate to hold that position because, you know, like we spoke of last game with Trey Barbie, he was really flying around the court, really the quarterback of that offense for that volleyball, big pink volleyball team.
And although he was really good, the rest of the team could have really helped him.
It could have. I mean, they definitely had the height with John Mark and Austin, but it shows you that height does not mean everything in volleyball, at least not in this game, because that ball, you can't really spike it that hard. It doesn't really go straight down like you would hope to. But either way, here we are in the championship, Lodgers versus WeRecU. Lodgers get the ball off the hands of Yates. He'll get it over. Matt will set it back to the Lodgers side of the ball, back by Gabe. He gets it back. That'll be Derek with the hit. Gabe one more time off the tips of the fingers of Coulter. Brandon gets it back.
So high up, just so much power behind it. Nice set.
Getting it up high would not be my style of choice to begin with, just because unless you're setting it to your own team, it's just giving the other team so much time to react. You almost want to hit it straight.
Exactly.
Like,
that was a nice
like
jump.
Brandon, look, boom, straight. I mean, it gets that backspin and it floats up, but it's still better than going straight up like that off the hands of Matt, and then Yates has all day to get it back to him. Matt's going to try it again, same move, but it'll be, it'll be Gabe getting it back this time. Gabe really controlling that offense for the Lodgers. Brandon will set it back. Logan wants to get his part in. I respect that as a fellow Logan. Off the fingers of Coulter, Brandon will set it up to Dan Grockmall. One handed over to the Lodgers off the hands of Kyle Lee. You got Derek, Logan, Derek, Logan, Brandon back to the Lodgers. It's going to be Logan again. Atta boy. Rep the Logans. Coulter will set it up to Kyle Lee. He's going to bop it over off the fingers of Matt, but it still gets to Marissa, who's going to set it up. That gets close to the edge, but it's still going to stay in play. Kyle Lee's really getting towards the middle there, and Logan shifting up a little bit. Coulter off the fingers.
Oh, nice return, Marissa.
OTP. Marissa. Oh, Dan Grockmall calls off Marissa. She'll get it off the top of the net. OTP.
There you go. And you'll see with the Lodgers, they're using really good communication, saying got it, just communicating with each other so they don't come in contact with each other. Because if you'll see on WeRecU, they've touched the ball, two people have touched the ball at once multiple times.
Like Brandon and Derek almost did. And that's the farthest I've seen the ball get back there as it approaches our booth. Brandon's really got a strong set of arms, but as you mentioned, it is awesome to notice how the Lodgers have really been using their vocals to let each other know that they've got it, because that's a key part of volleyball, and I'm pretty sure it's a key part of large pink volleyball as we see tonight. And I mean, when I was out there getting the players' names, I believe it was Logan who told me that he'd help me remember the names because he's going to be calling them out the whole game, and sure he has. There's Greg in and on the action. Back to Kyle Lee. He's shifted over the middle. Dan Grockmall will pop it up. Marissa will try to get it over, but Coulter will deny it. Dan Grockmall says, I got you, fam. That's off the hands of Gabe. Back to Derek. Off the fingers of Matthew. Back to Gabe again.
Nice save. Nice save.
If it had not been saved, honestly, by Matt, that might have gone into the net and straight down. Either way, play continues. It's still 0-0 as we approach the 10-minute mark. We got 10:50 left in this game. Yates trying to get some playing time. Marissa, the lone girl on the court right now, besides the photographer who's out there well into the play.
Into it.
Granted, it's not like the ball's going to come flying anytime soon. Logan with the save. Brandon's going to pop it back over right off the top of the net. Coulter's going to try to get it back over. Greg goes up against Kyle Lee, and it's going to go way back to Derek one more time. And we will continue with play. Lodgers off the arm
Oh.
of Greg. Dan Grogmal comes in and saves it. That might have been out, but Yates will keep it alive, and Derek will hit it. Brandon will hit it. That goes off the fingers of Coulter. Back to Yates, back to Coulter. Straight up. Is that going to get over? It is. Coulter's going to knock it over the net, and play continues.
Oh.
My dude Brandon gets it over. Logan's going to get some playing time. Dan Grogmal with the play. Kyle Lee is going to pop it back to Derek. He's going to go back to the Lodgers. Set back by Logan. And play continues. As Matthew sets the ball. Gets the Logan. Back to Derek. Back to the Lodgers. Off the net. Not going to be a point. That might be crucial.
That was so close, so close.
That might have been 4 touches. That might have been 4 touches, Crystal. But either way, the game continues.
Still going.
This might be like the Super Bowl. That's a crucial call right there. This might be a 1-0 game, and I don't know, the refs might have just blew it.
Oh. There we go.
And there's the first point for the WeRecU. They looked so solid last game. I'm surprised it's taken them almost 6 minutes to score.
Yeah.
Either way, Dan Grogmal and Derek will hold the ball for Brandon as he serves. You're saying?
Oh, I was just going to say, maybe it's because they're just tired, but also I think just like the change in lineup, if you look, they're just going all over the place now. They've got some solidity in where they're going to hit it, but honestly, they're running around. And that's what we saw in MTV. They tired themselves out a lot.
They really did, especially Trey Barbie, not really giving himself a lot of time to recover. And like you mentioned, you spoke to your friends earlier, and they said it takes a lot of energy to get that ball over with how large and hard it is to adjust. And, you know, it really plays an impact. You really got to take turns. I believe this is a bigger team sport than you could almost take it for. Because, I mean, like we were saying, Trey Barbie's flying over the entire court earlier.
Right.
He could keep going, but that risk, him tiring himself out and then the rest of the team not being prepared when they need to, is Gabe will get the ball back over to Derek. Goes off the hands of both Greg and Marissa. It's going to be set back by Yates to Dan Grogmal. He gets it up in the air. Kyle Lee gets it up, and that's going to be 4 hits.
Oh.
4 hits called by the official, and that's going to be 2-0. WeRecU. Crystal, at almost the halfway point, could this be insurmountable already just at the rate that WeRecU's playing defense in these last 2 games? Because literally, honestly, at this point, not a team has scored on them in the semifinal and the championship games in almost 22 minutes.
Yeah.
Because they pretty much scored on themselves by allowing that one ball to go out of play.
What I will say about the Lodgers is that the 2 points that they did have was on a technicality. You know, the four touches and then also the out of bounds.
Absolutely.
So I think there still is a chance for the Lodgers, but the back and forth and the running clock is definitely against them.
It is, as we've gone over halfway through this championship match as Coulter sets it back to Derek. It goes off the hands of both Greg and Matt. Gabe will pop it off the top of the fingers of Coulter over to Dan Grogmal, who gets it back to the Lodgers off of Yates' hand. Dan Grogmal really trying to get some impact play in this game as it goes off the hands of Greg and Matt. Brandon might have saved that game. That might have been 4 touches, but it's not going to be called. Greg getting really into the action right now as Derek sets it back over. Gabe hits it, but Brandon says, nope, I'm going to set it back to you. And 2 touches for the Lodgers as WeRecU will maintain possession. Off the fingers of OTP, not called his name much this game. Back to Marissa. It's going to go up to Yates. Marissa and OTP, the lone players who have made an impact, but slightly. Dan Grogmal gets it over with a hard hit. Yates back to the WeRecU. What is it going to take? We got 6 minutes and less than 20 seconds, and it really seems like the Lodgers just have no offensive attack at this point.
I think it's like we were talking about. It's so hard to hit that ball consistently, and if you watch, see they're hitting it right directly into the faces of their teammates, and so the teammates, all they can do is push it up and over, and that's not going to provide anything that's very substantial.
And that was close to 4 touches, but the ref says no, 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 and play continues. Yeah, like you were saying, you know, you want to get that low line drive shot, but if you shoot it right at your opponent, or your teammates, and it just goes flying up in the air, then at that point it just becomes a, can of corn. Can of corn right there as Gabe sends it over. Hits it straight, and then Coulter, like we just said, hits it straight up in the air, becomes another can of corn. You really want to try to get it down low as Brandon keeps it low for Marissa. She gets it up and over, and that was a good move right there, keeping the ball low as Gabe almost isn't able to keep it up. And Coulter, I see what Coulter's trying to do, but if he lets that hit the net and roll over, it might be a point.
Yeah, and then it rebounds so easily, and then they've been called on, I guess, twice now for 4 touches, or once or twice.
And that's where it comes in with those hits that almost seem unnecessary. There's a few where, you know, they're launching it right back at the net, and if they don't, it'll just hit the net and come back at them, and that's completely necessary. But if it's going to hit the top of the net and just roll over as Dan hits it back to Coulter, then you might want to try to let that one go. It might create a point. Greg sends it over. That's going to be Yates hitting it just off the top of the net.
Oh,
Derek,
that was a nice one. OTP tried. Oh.
And that's going to be a point to WeRecU. That's going to put them up 3-0 with 4 minutes and 40 seconds left. Ladies and gentlemen, you might be looking at your 2016 large pink volleyball ball champions in WeRecU. That's just me speaking possibly way too early, because who knows.
The game's not over until it's over.
The game is not over till the fat lady sings. And I'm warming up my voices. Brandon hits it back. It's going to go off the fingers of Gabriel back to Coulter, who sits it over. Kyle Lee gets in. Matt wants to touch the ball. It's a fight between Greg and Coulter. And another can of corn for Gabe, who sends it back over. Matt's going to pop it back to the Lodgers. Gabe off the fingers of both Kyle Lee and Coulter. Derek tries to get it to Matt, who sits it over Kyle Lee's head and back to the Lodgers, but it's once again over to the Lodgers side. Off the top of the net, it's going to pop down for Matt to save. I tell you what, this defensive effort by the WeRecU is just incredible. Incredible, Crystal.
Yeah, they've just got a lot of they have the ability to hit it to a point where it's not going to go too high up, but it's still going to go over the net, and that's just helping them out so much, especially on the offensive, but also on the defensive, because that's allowing or making the Lodgers hit the net so many times.
Exactly. Now tell me something, Crystal. Is this WeRecU defense as solid as the 1985 Super Bowl winning Bears?
You know what? That's close. That's
pretty close.
It's pretty close.
I tell you what, I put this defense up against the Broncos, that's for sure.
They've got a good thing going. Oh, that was a nice return.
Off the face of Coulter, knocks his hat to the ground. He's just going to leave it there. Kyle Lee goes up against a Matt. Marissa versus Coulter. I'm going to forget Coulter's name that he dropped his hat, because that's how I was remembering him. So close.
4.
Is that 4 touches? That's a point for the what?
Lodgers.
That's a point for the Lodgers, and Yates will set the ball off the fingers of Coulter and OTP to start play. That brings it to 3-1 with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. Ladies and gentlemen, this could turn into a real barn burner. I'm just saying, they might set this place on fire with it getting pretty close right now. Either way, play continues. Wow. Coulter with a nice play. Kyle Lee and Matt go against each other, but it's going to pop back to Logan. Sets it back. Matt's going to pop it over. Logan one more time with a pop. Can of corn. It's going to be Greg with the play off the top of the net. Coulter's going to set it back over.
Nice.
Dan Grockmal gets back in on it. Dan. Coulter. It's going to be Derek. Off the fingers of Greg. Back to the Lodgers. Yates gets in off the top of the fingers of Coulter, sorry. Kyle Lee comes over from his left side far position to hit it over. And
very nice, Marissa. See just how they set it and they just hit it, and then like the Lodgers they have to hit the net.
They're almost forcing themselves into 4 touches, but Logan made a good play to get it over. Dan's going to set it back to Yates.
Very nice set.
Back to Derek. Gabe with the hit off the fingers of Greg as he hits the ground. What a play. Greg, can you keep it alive? Dan Grockmal sits it. That's 3 hits, and it gets it over. Coulter is going to tap it to Dan Grockmal, back to Coulter, but Kyle Lee's going to take it too. Brandon and Dan take a shot at it, but Matt's going to be the one to get it over the net. Matt and Derek. Dan. Logan. Derek. Greg. Logan. There's a fight between Greg and Coulter, but Coulter gets it over Greg's head off the top of the net by Kyle Lee, and Coulter will be there to save the day. It was a nice save as we enter under 1 minute remaining in this game. It's going to take 2 very quick scores here for the Lodgers to force an overtime in the championship game. Off the top of the net, Greg gets it over. That's a point.
Oh.
That's a point. That, ladies and gentlemen, I can hear the fat lady singing. That's 4-1, and there's 38 seconds left.
My ears are ringing. I can hear it.
Yep. Matt and Brandon will set it up for Derek as he gets it over. And, ladies and gentlemen, these last 30 seconds are just going to be a technicality at this point just because of how solid WeRecU's defense is.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not so sure WeRecU is an appropriate name for them because they're not quite wrecking. They definitely wrecked the MTV earlier, but
Lodgers provided a much better offense for them.
Absolutely. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, as
Still
Kyle
fighting.
Lee's going to put it over twice. Derek will get the last touch. Maybe is Marissa? Nope, Derek gets the last touch. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. You've seen your 2016 large volleyball, pink volleyball champions in the WeRecU. We'll be right back with a couple of post-game interviews with our MVP of the game. Logan Sims here with the Wolfpack Sports Television Player of the Game, Player of the Championship, Brandon. What's your last name, Brandon?
Smith.
Brandon Smith. Congratulations,
Thank
man,
you. I
for
appreciate it.
winning the first, I believe it's the first ever large pink volleyball
Yep.
championship.
Yes, sir.
You know, first inaugural season. Will you be back next year? What year are you?
I'm a sophomore.
Okay, you're a sophomore. You'll be back next year.
Definitely.
It's a great cause out here for, I believe it's for breast cancer awareness.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what are your emotions right now?
I'm feeling good. This is my first intramural championship, so I really wanted to come out here and get a win, so I'm happy the team could come out and really perform.
And now you get to take home one of these nice shirts.
Absolutely.
One that I'm repping right now. I'm going to see if I can sneak out here with that. I doubt I will, but I've been trying to get one for 3 years, man. So congratulations on yours.
Man.
You know, your defense was quite stout out there. You know, y'all allowed one in the semifinal to the MTV, and that was really one that y'all really created yourselves by hitting it out of bounds. And then there in that last game, just one time y'all got to not really get away with it, but y'all created 4 touches, and that gave a point to the the Lodgers. You know, how did y'all prepare y'all's amazing defense for this championship?
I mean, well, we know defense wins championships. Everyone saw the Super Bowl. They saw the Broncos' defense. Everyone knows defense wins championships. So we just wanted to make sure if the ball never hits the ground, we're not going to lose. So we just wanted to make sure that we were on our side, that we were just making sure we were communicating, just getting the ball back over, so we had the best chance to win.
Awesome, Brandon. Again, congratulations one more time. It's the WeRecU were the champions of the first ever large pink volleyball championship by a score of 4-1 over the Lodgers. You've been watching Large Pink Volleyball on Wolfpack Sports Television, bringing you into the pack.